Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Nasdaq Futures ICT Weekly Outlook Series 2026, Episode 8, the government shutdown episode. For this week, the U.S. government is partially shut down. As you guys can see, the news releases are still being noted on Forex Factory, which is a good thing. The last time the government shut down, a lot of these news releases were tentative, and it just created a bunch of chop and really ugly price action. For this week, we still have the times coming out. And it's also an NFP week. So we have NFP protocol in. So for Monday, we have 10 a.m. red folder news. As you guys can see, for Monday, I will be looking to trade between the 9:30 window to 11:30 window. Specifically looking at the macros to look for any entries. For Tuesday, we have 10 a.m. job jotes. Again, I will be having the same protocol for Tuesday as well. 9:30 to 11:30. For Wednesday, we have news at 8:15 at 10 a.m. Both of these can be looked at, but for me, myself, I will be only looking at for the 9:30 to 11:30. For Wednesday, if you are someone who does trade the afternoon session, I would avoid the afternoon session just because it is NFP week. NFP after the AM session on Wednesday tends to be more of a chop. On Thursday, we do have news at 8:30, but because it is the day before NFP, I will be avoiding that day. Just again, these days are and the session after the morning session on Wednesday, going all the way until Thursday, just unfavorable price action. So if you want to avoid that, just leave those days alone. On Friday, no trades until after the NFP is released. And as you guys can see, we have another news at 10 a.m. So it is very likely for that 8:30 to 9:30 1 hour window to be very choppy and not have a true direction for the day. Now, just to show you guys another reason why Wednesday and Thursday afternoon session can be unfavorable, we're going to go ahead and look at the earnings whisper calendar. As you guys can see, after the close on Wednesday, we have Google earnings report after the close on Wednesday. So that's just another reason. And then on Thursday, we have Amazon. Both of these are Magnificent Seven stocks that I personally like to pay attention to when we have earnings releases. So that's just another reason for both of those afternoon sessions and Thursday just to be choppy. So with that being said, now let's go ahead and get into the charts. All right, so here we are on the E-mini Nasdaq March 2026 contract on the daily time frame. The new week opening gap just opened. As you guys can see, it is definitely reacting to that government shutdown news here. We had a huge new week opening gap, a couple hundred points there, from 630s to 528. So more than 100 points for a new week opening gap. That lets you know that volatility is going to be a little bit higher this week. Now, for me, the moment we close below this BISI, as I have been saying for the past few weeks, that would invalidate the buy program. Last week, as you guys can see, we used this as support to continue higher into that daily SIBI that I have been calling for the past few weeks. We then formed a new yearly and quarterly SMT with ES and YM. As you guys can see, the ES and YM contracts take the October high and the quarterly high for the last year, while the Nasdaq refuses to do so. And now we have broken lower. On the daily time frame, once we displace below this BISI, in my opinion, all programs will be in the sell program. And the next time-based liquidities that we can target are the previous monthly low for January. Now, for me, once we close below this daily BISI on the daily time frame, all programs will be calling for a sell program on all time frames, and that would take us to, in my opinion, to the previous monthly low being January's low, the December low, and if we want to have a really overzealous week, we have the November low and this daily volume imbalance to target. But the obvious targets for me for this week are the previous monthly low and the December low. Now let's go ahead and drop down to the 1 hour time frame just to show you guys what I have here. All right, so as you guys can see, this is Monday's price action here. We were inside of that daily BISI and used it as support and began to displace above these areas that I had paying attention to and even accumulated here, came back to it as support to travel into that daily SIBI, accumulated again in this area, and just played ping pong for the rest of the week. Now, I want you guys to see on the hourly, we have now closed below this daily BISI. In my opinion, I would want to see this daily BSC be used as resistance. Looks like we're going to form a SIBI in this area in another 2 minutes, which will more than likely form. Once we close below, a trade back into the SIBI, some sort of SMT in this area to then continue lower to here, close below to take the previous monthly low, return back into it, create another form of SMT in this area here, or somewhere in this leg after we form some new PD arrays, right? To then continue lower to take December low for the rest of the week. So with that being said, this week is very simple. Open, high, low, close. Open, high, low, close. That's what you can expect for every day, every session of this week. Every retracement higher is to be viewed as a retracement and not an expansion higher until we reach some sort of discount. In my opinion, on the daily time frame, this is the nearest discount that we can target. After we've taken this December low, then you can reevaluate whether or not we're going to go ahead and take the November low. But with that being said, like I said, very simple, it's very straightforward this week. I am bearish on the Nasdaq futures. Good luck and good trading.